Okay, so let's talk about something that you can see on the internet. I've seen that, and some of my customers sometimes point me to that trick that you have to outline a text, although you shouldn't. And then you don't have any special tool to do this. So there's a special trick. You can use transparency flattening. I'm actually going to explain you this and say that this is not something you should do. Transparency flattener is not a tool for outlining text. First of all, we just said you shouldn't outline text anyway. But in case you have to, don't use this, because transparency flattener is a tool to, well, flatten transparency. So you probably know, or you should know, that transparency flattening is not something easy. And you probably experienced already some things that are happening when you do some transparency flattening, like, you know, things that are disappearing from your file or results that are not quite what you wanted. And this is because the transparency flattener is something that is really hard to do. And then there's a lot of things that are happening when you do this. So if you want to use this to just outline the text, that means that you're taking a lot of risks for just outlining a text. And yes, there is a feature that says you can create an outline while you're doing the flattening, but this is actually something that is helping the transparency flattener to get the visual result you wanted. It's not something that says, oh, there's an hidden feature here where if you choose that, you can create an outline, and that's a nice trick. So that means that if you think you're clever to hijack that feature, actually it's not that clever. The transparency flattener, I'm not actually going to demonstrate that one because I don't want to show you something that you shouldn't do. But just for you to know, in the Flattener preview, you actually have that convert all text to outline. That means that when you do the transparency, if that box is checked, then all of the text of your file is going to be outlined. But again, don't do this, because this is highly risky, and you really can ruin your own file by just doing this. You really need to outline text? As David said, that can happen, that you have to do this. But if you really have to do this, you must use tools that are designed for outlining fonts. Like, there is a feature in the Acrobat Preflight, which is the same engine than the Callas PDF toolbox, so you can use this. There are also features in Enfocus Speedstop Pro where you can do this, etc. You can find a lot of softwares that can do this. And in that case, they are really using the metrics of the font to make the outline, and not, you know, messing the thing around. If you have the original file, you can also use the outline text feature. If that authoring tool has some feature like this, you can find that in Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator, for example. So you need to outline, use tools that have been designed to outline. Don't use something else where you can have some tricky things to make the outline.
And while we're on that topic, of course I lied and I did look at the questions meanwhile. There are two, I think, that continue on what you just said, Christian. One is about, well, should I then not do this at all? And really, it goes back to what we said before. Just don't, first of all, don't just outline everything. That is a bad idea. If you're designing a logo and you want to keep full control over what happens, and you think that you have more control by outlining this before you give it to the client, by all means. Yeah, but this is a limited amount of conversion that you're doing. Do it with a good tool, and like Christian just said, not using the transparency flattener. But that is a limited reason to convert that text to outline, and there is nothing against that. Just don't build a workflow where every document that comes in gets converted in that way. And the second thing that I wanted to mention, and because of one of the questions, is that where Christian said use Acrobat Preflight or PDF Toolbox or Pitstop to do it, that will not take away the remarks that I made about thin fill versus fat fill or anything like that. So you're still going to see those visual differences. You're just not going to break the document further by using the transparency flattener. Yeah. So it's better to use those tools because they will only do the conversion to outlines and nothing else. But don't expect them to be able to overcome the limitation in the PDF file format that says that text is going to be rendered thinner than vector elements. That is something nothing can change because that's part of the PDF specification.